Hi, my name is Noah Gift, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to use containers along with AWS Cloud9, ECR, and App Runner and Code Build to build this ecosystem of continuous delivery versus the container-based story that stands alone. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's dive into continuous delivery with containers on the AWS platform. The story would start with AWS Cloud9 here, and you could develop your project and then actually build this locally. So you would have a feedback loop right here where you would build out using, for example, Docker build command. Once you've got that build, you would go through and push this to the ECR registry. Once you're there, you could in fact just deploy to AWS App Runner. A second approach, which would be more of a continuous build process, would be to first test this out, then get code build to always update the container by rebuilding the container and pushing that new container change to ECR. So there are a couple different ways to do this, but in the real world, the build system would most likely be the thing that is testing and building your project and then pushing it to ECR, which would in turn trigger App Runner. All right, let's go ahead and build out this project here. You can see it's a very simple microservice that just adds two numbers together, nothing fancy, but I do have a Docker file inside, and that's going to give me the power to use some of these high-level services on AWS. So first up, I'm going to go to FastAPI here, and I'm going to go to code. I'm going to clone this locally. I've already created SSH keys, so it makes things a little bit quicker, but we'll type in git clone. And from here, we'll type in yes, perfect. Now I'll cd into this repo. And the next thing I always do is create a Python virtual environment. So we'll go through here and say venv. And then I'll put this inside of my home directory to hide it. And then I will source this thing. And in fact, just to be lazy, because I hate having to source my virtual environment a lot, I'm going to just put this into my bash RC file here and go through here and say venv and then source ~venv bin activate. Now it'll load every time. And if I go and open up a new terminal here, for example, there we go. You can see that it loads. So that'll save me a little bit of time. And this will install the packages. Perfect. Things are good to go. And then I can run my application. That's always a good idea to just get things running. Let's go ahead and try that out. So here we go. I'll just type in Python main.py. There we go. We've got this service running. I open up a new terminal. I can just curl whatever is in the output. In this case, it's going to be this HTTP address. There we go. And I can test out adding. We can say add 2, or let's just say 3 and 3. Perfect, we got 6. So we got this thing running locally. That's good to know about. Now, how do I push this thing to ECR? Well, fortunately, it's pretty straightforward. If you go to ECR here, we can go through here and we can create a new repo. And let's go ahead and do that. And we'll call this, FastAPI, and we'll do a continuous delivery. So we know that it's for continuous delivery. And then you could go through and scan things as well, which is pretty neat because it'll check for security bugs. And we'll go ahead and create this repo. Now that I've got this thing hooked up here, FastAPI CD, if I click on this repo and I look at the push commands, it gives me everything I need to authenticate from the Cloud9 environment. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just put that command in. There we go. Now I'm authed inside. Next up, I do the next command, which is to build this thing locally. And this is the trick with building things, is you have to first get this image built so that we can push it to ECR. I picked a very fast machine. That's why it's running so quickly here. It's a 16-core machine with, I think, maybe 64 gigs of RAM. So really, really beefy machine is a good idea if you're dealing with containers. And then next up here, all I need to do is do the final two commands here, tag and push. Let's go ahead and tag it, go through, and then let's go ahead and push it, which would be the last command here. And so the beautiful thing about this is that, again, I love working with very fast machines because it allows me to quickly get things done. But now that I've got it into ECR, all I need to do to run this with AWS App Runner is to tell it to listen to this container that I just pushed to ECR. And this is really an ideal way to deploy to the environment for App Runner, because App Runner can't support containers. So let's go ahead and go to AWS App Runner. And if we go into this repo, I'm going to create a new service. And then look, all I need to do is say container registry. We want to do the private registry. If I browse here, we should be able to see this FastAPI continuous delivery. Perfect. And look, what we can do is we can say every time I push a container from potentially AWS code build, go through here and pick it up and deploy it. Now we can say automatic. And so this one would monitor the registry and deploys a new version every time I do an image push. So this is really a dream scenario because you get the best of both worlds. You get continuous delivery, plus you're able to use containers. We're going to go ahead and select that. And then we will create a new service role, go through here and do next. And we'll say, continuous container FastAPI, just like that. And then I could just leave everything default here and then go to next. And notice I didn't even have to put any commands in because the container is smart enough to know how to do things. And I just do create and deploy. Now, one of the things that is giving me a bug here is that it says, oh, that role already exists. Well, that's pretty easy to fix. We just go back here and we can call this role CD and just rename that thing and go back here and say next and do the deploy. There we go, create and deploy. And as I mentioned here, this will take a little bit of time to deploy to AWS App Runner. And so what we could do while this thing is getting set up is watch it, but we also could go to the AWS code build service and take a look at how we could kind of move it to the next level. So let's suppose now, once we get this thing running, what we would want to do, well, I think really the next step in a real world production environment would be to go to Cloud Build. And what's nice about, Code Build, is that Code Build can actually automatically build a project for us and push that container. So if we went through here and we said, create build project, and we say, push App Runner, for example, and we say this project will push new containers, right? We could go through here and we could, set up all this stuff, go through to the GitHub, set it up into the repository in my GitHub account, which you can authenticate to, and then you can go through the steps of a build process, which would be pretty straightforward. And that all I would do is I would go down to insert build commands here, and it could be as straightforward as those same build commands that we did when we pushed it to ECR. And then every time I make a change to the GitHub repository, we have continuous delivery. So in a nutshell, you can see that this is an amazing way to deploy code because you're using containers as the mechanism to deploy the software. And if we go back here and you want to see this is the exact same project, what it looks like when it's running, we can go through here and you can see that, in fact, I've got this thing cooking here, and I could add numbers together and get this thing working. So really, in a nutshell, the AWS App Runner plus ECR is a dream scenario for building out continuous delivery with containers.